Off the Wall Productions is proud to present Voices of the Methow. This is a series of conversations with interesting folk in and around the valley. Well, Rebecca, welcome to Voices of the Methow.
Thanks, Byron.
Hey, before we begin, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Rebecca Gallivan. I have been singing for a long time. It's always been an interest and a joy of mine, ever since I was a little girl. And since my parents couldn't get me to stop singing, they started getting me voice lessons.
Well, that was wise.
It was a wise choice. And now I just try to include music in my life as much as possible. I perform professionally. I perform with friends. It's just something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, okay, well that's great. You've got a pretty cool project in the works. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, Byron, I'm glad we ran into each other the other day, because this is a baby of a project. It's just the most incipient idea. This project was inspired by one of my voice students named Simone, and for a project of hers for school, she has been photographing women doing things that they love, and she asked this question, which really sparked a thought in me, which was, what are you doing, or what do you do or feel called to do that makes you feel most human? And for me, of course, the easy answer was singing or making music. But on a deeper level, I've really felt called to do a type of protest or empowering singing for women. I really felt like women's voices need to be heard, and women, especially my friends and the people I am connected with here in the Valley, need a place to sing and lift each other up and to express their thoughts and their ideas. And I was inspired by some women protesting in the Heart Atrium. They were protesting families being separated, and they just brought their bodies, and they put their bodies in this public space, and they just made a bunch of noise, all of them together. And they made a statement, and they made a protest, and they sang in support of, families loving each other. And I was so inspired by this idea. I was reaching back to a group of women who got together a few years ago, and we sang a song that really resonated with us at the Climate March. Mm-hmm. And it was a song that was circulated at the Women's March and became really popular for a time by an artist called Milk. And the song is I Can't Keep Quiet. And I just felt really called by Simone's question and really inspired to get these women together again. And another friend, Kathleen, is helping me organize us, and we're hoping to just create a space where women can come and talk about what they want to sing, and the group will decide, what we collectively want to put together and put out there in the world. And we want to create a space for that.
So, Rebecca, this is just basically the planning stage here, right? Just getting things going.
We're still in the planning stages. We have just started putting, a list together of people who might be interested in this. So I'm really glad that you stopped by and that we agreed to meet in person, because I was just expressing to you how sometimes I can feel way over-communicated with. It's a unique time in our history as human beings that we can feel simultaneously over-communicated with, or even hassled or pestered by, social media and emails and news and people wanting to connect with each other. But we can simultaneously feel that way and also feel sometimes disconnected or a little bit lonely, and wanting that real connection with people, that face-to-face, or that putting in that time with each other. And so I'm really glad that you stopped by and asked me about the interview in person, because it really solidified my desire to talk with you about this project that I'm cooking on. And also talking about it with you is also solidifying my desire to make it happen. I'm hoping that this women's singing group will be a space where people can meet in person and connect with each other in a real way and talk about some of the issues, or work out some of the issues we're having in our current political climate, which are challenging. A lot of women's issues are being brought up, and a lot of women are encountering those issues in the news when they're at home alone, and there isn't really anyone to chat with about that. And so you feel hassled by these news stories that are about our issues. You feel like they're coming from all sides. There's no rest from that. But you can also feel kind of disconnected and lonely encountering all of those issues like by yourself.
Well, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so are you saying that perhaps if you can get out of that isolation a little bit, that you might find some empowerment with other people and be able to do some action-oriented things to feel more empowered? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Or at the very least for women's voices to be heard. Because there's a lot of women's issues coming up in the media, and I don't necessarily know that a lot of women's voices are being heard about those issues. We're hearing a lot of men's voices about those issues.
So you're saying that you're not feeling like women are really heard or acknowledged today, or?
I don't think it goes...
That's a little broad.
That is a little broad.
Yeah.
But I think there is a tendency in our culture, particularly, for us to have intellectual debates about issues of race and issues of gender that don't include the people that we're talking about. Like when policymakers sit down and make decisions about our health care and don't include women at the table. That's a huge deal. When we have conversations about sexual harassment in the workplace or sexual harassment or sexual assault in our culture, which is a huge problem and a horrible problem. And I'm really glad that we're addressing it finally in an open way. I don't think women's voices are being included in exactly the right way. And I don't know what the right way is.
Well, maybe that's part of what it sounds like you're wanting to have a conversation.
It seems like we're focused a lot on the negative. You know, the Me Too movement was really huge and very important for lots of women to sort of illustrate how big this problem is and how systemic that issue is in our culture. But it focused a lot on women's stories of pain and their struggle, and it was very negative, and it was even triggering and hurtful for some women to encounter those stories. And so I want to continue that conversation or continue addressing those women's issues, but hopefully in a more positive way. Hopefully in an empowering way. Some friends and I are getting together to figure out where we would sing and what that would look like. Hopefully it will take place at the Twist Community Center or somewhere close to that, because there's enough space for us. And I think there's space available to rent or to meet. And our email list is by no means exclusive. So I'm hoping that if you receive an email, it's because we know that you're interested and that you'll share it with any and all other women who are interested. And that when we settle on a time or a day that works for the majority of people who are already interested, we can put that in the paper and put that on the calendar of events at the community center. So I hope you keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, definitely. So this is Byron and
Rebecca
saying so long for now and keep it on the route. You've been listening to Voices of the Methow, an off-the-wall production. Until next time, thanks for listening.